present that Tyler left me. Made these rods that are going to hold the bed together in the new greenhouse where the basil's going to go. Alrighty, so I got my rods, and so what I need to do is get all this junk out of here, the soil mix, all the tarps and stuff like that. Alright, I got everything cleared out. I was about to drill the holes. Look what I found. Oh, hole is already drilled. I knew it was a tight fit from last year, so I thought, well, just run the drill through the hole again. All I got is this long augury drill thing, and so I wouldn't hit the greenhouse side. I put this board up against here, but then I totally lost control. I was like, and I've got a hole over here in the, whoa, I've got a hole over here in the greenhouse plastic. Yeah, I don't have a regular crescent wrench. Oh shoot, just get on there, buddy. Okie doke, so I got both rods in. I did actually have to drill this one again, so I was just more careful this time. Okay, so what I have decided to do is, since I'm only going to be planting half of this bed in basil, I think that's what I've got. I'm doing 4 successions of basil through the summer, and so I'm just going to go ahead. I really do kind of want to mix up. The soil at the bottom is really clayey, and there's like all I did was just shovel a ton of soil and just dumped it down there. Then I put this nice little layer as if I was going to plant into things, and I was like, okay, throw a ton of sand on here because I really want to mix some sand in here. So I am going to mix sand all through the level through half of this bed, and then I think what I'm going to do is kind of like then kind of put down a little bit of composted seaweed more at the surface, throw a little bit of dirt on top of that, and then plant the basil into that. So before I got too crazy filling it back in, I realized, hey, I want some, rotted seaweed where the plant's toes are going to go. So I didn't pull this from my more finished compost. This is kind of just rotted seaweed, and I'm just going to put a layer across here, and then I don't know if that's deep enough, but and then cover that up with the dirt here and just kind of go along doing that. Okie doke, so I got everything done here, raked out and ready to plant basil tomorrow. I've just got one more chore that I got to get done this afternoon in the greenhouse. Okay, I just got to put on a little bit of Whole Be Gone. Whole Be Gone. There we go. Okay, there's a moth. And there's some birds. Hey birds, why aren't you catching that moth? That moth is going to go right into my greenhouse and lay its little eggs everywhere. Okie doke, so I had planned today to plant out basil, but it occurred to me that I don't have any doors in the greenhouse. So I spent just a little bit of time, putting some insect netting on either side of this old greenhouse, so it keeps out any moths or butterflies or whatever that are going to want to lay their little eggs. So I kind of changed gears, and today I am putting up a trellis for the peas. Okay, I've got the pole spaced every 8 feet, which is probably too wide, but it's all the poles I had readily available. So then I put sawed a groove at 3 inches, 6 inches, 9 inches, and wrap some seine twine around there. And now what I'm trying to do is get the row cover back on around the poles, because I haven't seen the migrating birds yet, and they might come through here and eat the sugar snap peas. Tyler's working on some really nifty greenhouse doors. I'll show you those when they're done. We'll have something probably temporary by tonight because I'm putting the basil in. Oh, there's Basil. La la la, first time he's seen real light. And I've got my veggie starts out here. They were in the greenhouse, this old greenhouse, yesterday, and I was like, oh shoot, because outdoor temperature got to almost 75 yesterday, so it was like pow, all of a sudden it's summer. And they just need to not be in that heat. All right, so I've got my drip line put out there. I had to kind of fiddle with it to get the holes in the right spot, because this one I did first and I didn't stagger the holes. I've got a video about how I put this drip tape together. So anyway, the plan is to have these 7.5-inch square spacing, but because these little holes are a foot apart, and then these are, I don't know what, 6 inches apart here, I think I'm just gonna kind of stagger them that way, and we'll see how it goes. Okie doke, so I got those 2 far beds by the sugar snap pea bed. I put 2 pounds of rock phosphate, which I was able to get at the store, the hardware store, and I put 2.5 pounds per bed of the lime, which I think is way too much. I think I was only supposed to put 1.25, but long story, portions, etc. But the deal is that Tyler got the doors put in. It's going to be more complicated than this, but for now, for tonight, we're going to wrap it in plastic. So I need to cut out some plastic. And also, at the far end, there's a gap, and I need to fill in that gap. So I'm going to do that tonight, and probably tomorrow morning I can plant out the kale, which would be a better time to do it anyway. Okay, so in the new greenhouse, we've got doors. And eventually we'll get it set up so there's bug screen in it, but at least, you know, I can close it up for the night. So plan is today is to plant out into those 3 beds, kale and chard. So this would be where it'd be awesome to have a gritter where I could just roll on my 10-inch square spacing. Hey, so I got 2 beds of Italian kale planted out. 1 bed of half chard, half scarlet kale. And last minute, I planted in the sugar snap peas on either side. You know, spaced every foot, potatoes. And then I still got a little bit of potatoes left, but I'm thinking I'm just gonna huck them in the compost bin. Using the sprinkler to water the old plant skis this morning. Okie doke, so I really wanted to prep all of these beds sequentially from the new plot here to the old garden plot over here. And I'm doing okay. The bed where the table's on right now and the one next to it are supposed to be for overwintered carrots and kale. And so this one right here next to it is supposed to be for lettuce, and I have lettuce that's ready to go out. So I think I'm gonna try and get these 2 beds done today. Tomorrow it's supposed to kind of cloud up and maybe even rain a little bit, which would be better for planting out anyway, because I was planting out the kale and the chard in like the middle of the day in the heat, and anyway, they survived, I think. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna do today. Prep 2 beds. Okay, so I've been walking down this pathway through the gate, and it's super compacted. This is going to take me a long time. This whole area out here had 6-inch pathways, and I need them to be a foot. So it's also dry now. I'm thinking rototiller. Okie doke, so I got the lettuce bed done. I would like to have gotten more done, but the bugs are coming out, so I am finished for the night. It actually ended up raining that next day, so rather than playing out in the mud, I ended up spending my coronavirus money, and I looked at ordering a Jang Cedar and a gritter from Neversink Farm. I wanted to get a tilther, but Johnny's was out of stock. Then I went out to the greenhouse and thinned some of my radishes because they were starting to shade out my poor cucumbers. And then I also cut some spinach, which had been mildewing, but once I thinned it, it was doing fine. Speedy arugula finally bolted, and so I ended up just kind of cutting it all back because it was bitter. And then there was the red dragon arugula, which was right next to it,
And I don't know, it tasted bitter to me, but I just left it there. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But the baby chard, I've been able to cut some leaves off that too, but the plan is to go ahead and dig it up and put it out in the garden. And same thing with the lettuces, to kind of dig those up and transplant them out into the garden.
Hey folks! So today I'm going to plant the Salanova lettuce in this bed right here. These are from the greenhouse that I pulled out, so I'm not sure how well they're gonna do. Poor little fellows. Poor fellows. I need to get all the stuff that I planted in the winter out of there, kind of, because I want to plant orach, which is supposed to be kind of like a heat tolerant type of spinach alternative. I've tasted it before, and actually I think it tastes way better than spinach, but I'd like to try that in there with the cucumbers. Okay, so I've got my little plugs, lots of roots coming out the bottom there. Okie dokie, done. I feel like I've done everything wrong this week. Sugar snap peas are not growing. I think it's because I don't have any inoculant that I usually put down there. I'm gonna see if I can get some in town. Kale, I planted it when it was super hot, and then I threw the row cover on them and it burnt the leaves. Chard's doing all right. Same kind of issue. I grabbed some chard from the greenhouse today and finished out this bed here and pulled out the little bits of red, the scarlet kale that I had there, so that I wouldn't have two separate crops, you know, and have to keep row cover on one and not on the other. Anyway, so those will go out when they're a little bit bigger anyway. And I got lettuces, the ones I had in my own soil blocks, and also the ones I pulled from the greenhouse. And I don't know how the ones from the greenhouse are going to do. I've never had luck with transplanting lettuce like that, but you know, and I don't know if this is any of the best idea, because it's pretty depressing to have like all these sad, like straggly starts out here. It's kind of bad for morale. Anyway, so I got to finish out this last, get pathways in here in this tilled area and plant out the rest of my starts, you know, my cilantro and dill and green onions and stuff, and that'll be next. Basil's doing really nice. I've been leaving row cover over that at night because it's still getting below 50 degrees. Maybe not necessary, but that's what I've been doing. Okay, and what do we have here in the berry patch? Potatoes! Or at least a potato plant anyway. We'll see if it makes potatoes.